now we'll just see what is the capacity of Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi operates at 2.4 gigahertz or 5 gigahertz of radio spectrum, and they coexist with other devices like Bluetooth. So if you take your laptop or your mobile, you do have Wi-Fi facility, you do have Bluetooth. So it does support both. So depending upon the choice of your, it will start operating in that way. So Wi-Fi definitely coexists with the Bluetooth. The Wi-Fi network is identified with a service set identifier. So, what is the service set identifier? Every network will have its own name. So, even when you want to connect, even in college, if you want to connect, it will ask Acharya Wi-Fi, Acharya staff Wi-Fi, like that. It will have its own identification. Internally, it is a number. You can give a name to that. So you can connect to this network by selecting that SSID. Here, in front of you, it is a label, but internally, it is a kind of unique identification number of the network. Now, sometimes there will be no authentication required, so directly you can connect. But sometimes it will ask for authentication. In that case, you have to give the password. So by providing the credential of the network is secure. So in that case, it is more secured. You can give password also. So the Wi-Fi network implements different security mechanisms for authentication and data transfer. So what are the different security mechanisms? Wireless equivalence protocol, wireless protected access, etc. Some of the security mechanisms supported by the Wi-Fi network. So these are the different protocols that is used for security mechanisms. So now let's go to the next slide. So the next topic is external communication interface, ZigBee. So all of you would have come across several applications. I'll come to that application. So let us understand what is actually the ZigBee interface. It is low power, low cost, wireless network communication based protocol based on IEEE 802.15 for 2006 standard. So it is IEEE 802.15.4. So it has got the protocol number. This is the number. So now ZigBee is targeted for low power, low data rate and secure applications for wireless personal area network. Widely uses personal area network. So now what are the different applications? Now we will see. So the ZigBee specifications support a robust mesh network containing multiple nodes. There can be several multiple nodes. And this network strategy makes the network reliable by permitting the messages to travel through a number of different paths to get from one node to another node. Means to say that whichever is the devices are there in the ZigBee network, they are connected over the mesh network and they can communicate to each other, okay, via different nodes. So now let's go to the next slide. Now, ZigBee operates worldwide at the unlicensed band of radio spectrum, mainly at 2.4 to 2.4 gigahertz. So, the ZigBee operates in this radio spectrum, that is 2.4 to 2.484 gigahertz, and the next one is 9022 to 928 megahertz, and 868.0 to 868.6 megahertz. So, this is the frequency that it will operate. Now, ZigBee supports an operating distance of up to 100 meters. Means you can think of one particular floor, a ground floor or first floor, like that. Just a network within that. And a data rate of 20 to 250 kbps. This is the maximum data rate. Now, ZigBee is primarily targeting application areas like home, industrial automation, energy management, home control security. You will see that in detail. Patient tracking. For example, in a hospital there are different floors, and in each floor there are patients who are admitted. And if in case of any emergency, any patient want to intimate a nurse or call a doctor, they will have a kind of a switch or something. If they press, it gets alarmed at the nursing area. Where all the doctors and nurses will be there. So any of them can come and attend. So that kind of network for that kind of application, it is just for that particular floor. That's it. So that kind of applications we can make use of ZigBee technology, logistic and asset tracking, depending upon what are the logistic company, depending upon the goods that has come, what are the goods, and for all that purposes, you can use the ZigBee technology for intimations and all that, and sensor networks and using RFID tags, you can make use of ZigBee. Automatic meter reading, smoke and smoke detectors, wireless telemetry, heating, lighting controls, environment control, all these things are used in chemical industries. Or for these kind of applications, we make use of ZigBee technology. We'll take one simple application later, and we will see how exactly things are happening through ZigBee. Now let's go to the next slide. So in the ZigBee terminology, each ZigBee device falls under any one of the following ZigBee device categories. So you can see the diagram there. So ZED are nothing but ZigBee enabled devices, and ZR is nothing but ZigBee router, and ZC is nothing but ZigBee coordinator. Now, the ZigBee coordinator, ZigBee coordinator acts as a root of the ZigBee network. So that is like the main controller. ZC is responsible for initiating the ZigBee network. So the entire thing is under the ZC, that is ZigBee coordinator. And it has a capability to store the information about the network. The entire network information will be present in ZC. Now, ZigBee router, ZR, it is mainly responsible for passing information from one device to another device or to another ZR. In this diagram, you can see there are two ZR. A left side one ZR and right side one ZR. The left side ZR, you have three ZigBee devices connected. Means from one ZigBee device to another ZigBee device, if I want to communicate, I have to pass via ZR. I cannot directly communicate with each other. I have to pass via ZR to another ZigBee device. Suppose if the ZigBee device of one ZigBee router want to communicate to another ZigBee devices of connected to another ZigBee router, then this ZigBee device should send the information to ZR, and that ZR, if it is connected to another ZR directly, it can communicate, or in this example, it has to communicate to ZC, and through ZC, it is connected to ZR. So through that, you can communicate to the other devices. So in short, you are having all the ZigBee enabled devices, and the different ZigBee devices can be connected to ZigBee router, and all these things are controlled by one main person, that is ZigBee coordinator. So that is the main thing. So now let's go to the next slide. So the same diagram, let us see. Here, any device containing ZigBee functionality for data communication, it can talk only with a ZR or ZC. As I said earlier, ZED can talk only with ZR or ZC, and it doesn't have the capability to act as a mediator for transferring data from one device to another device. So it cannot directly communicate. It has to pass via ZR only. So this is a technical aspect. Now let us go to the next slide and see with the home application. So you're able to see here, the right hand side, you have speakers, you have a bed lamp connected to a router there, and that router is connected to another router. To that router, there are few more devices, but we don't know what are the devices. And that center router is connected to the left hand side coordinator. That is a ZigBee coordinator. You can see there. Now, again, the center router is connected to another router. To that, there are three connections, but only one is connected. That is end device, the switch. So you can see the switch is connected to this router. So there are three routers here connected to each other, and all these routers are connected to one coordinator, and this coordinator will be monitoring the entire network. So if you see the left hand side, you can see it is a ZigBee modem. So if any application want to support, if it wants to use it, the ZigBee, then it has to use this particular board. Here there will be so many connectors. Based upon the requirement, you have to connect these each and every part of this particular modem. So this is about the ZigBee. Now let's go to the next slide. GPRS. So what is this GPRS? general packet radio service. So widely used in the mobile communication network. Now here data is sent as packets. All of you know in network also you would have studied this. The transmitting device splits the data into several related packets, and at the receiving end, the data is reconstructed by combining the received data packets. Means at the sender side, they will send a packet and it gets split into several packets. And at the receiving side, again, it is reconstructed. Now, GPRS supports a maximum transfer rate of 171.2 kbps. This is one of the old values. Now it is much more advanced. So it is 17.2 kbps. Now let's go to the next slide. In GPRS communication, the radio channel is concurrently shared between several users instead of dedicating a channel to the single cell phone user. Means the entire channel is actually shared among several users. It is not just dedicated to one single user. The GPRS communication divides the entire channel into 3 time slots. So it divides the channel into time slots and transmits the data over the available channel. So wherever it is available, it just does hopping round robin type. Wherever the channels are available, it will transmit. Now, GPRS supports Internet Protocol, IP, and point-to-point protocol, TPP, and X.25 protocol for communication. So this is what the GPRS will support.